welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria. And today we are going to be talking in depth about my Jane Austen experience that I went to in Vermont at the end of October. Now, if you haven't seen the vlog, I'll go ahead, put it in cards somewhere and also link it down below so you can check out my experience going to Vermont with my best friend and her mom and some other lovely ladies who also attended the experience. So with that, let's go ahead and dive in and answer all the burning questions that you may or may not have had about my time at the governor's house in Hyde Park. I think the first thing we should chat about is how did I find this experience and what exactly is a Jane Austen experience anyway? Well, to circle it back, this all started a while ago when I saw the movie Austenland, which is based off the book Austenland, where a woman goes to a Jane Austen experience as kind of her last hurrah before she gives up on her hopes and dreams of finding her own Mr. Darcy. And chaos kind of ensues. It's not really all that she thought it was going to be, but it ends up being a really silly, fun time. Now, I would say this movie is kind of a guilty pleasure. It does have Carrie Russell as our lead character. I believe his name is Jane, if I am correct. And then we also have Jennifer Coolidge in this movie, who is Miss Charming and tries to do a terrible British accent the entire time. It's a very silly movie. It's a lot of fun, but I think the idea of going to a beautiful house with lovely grounds and kind of living out your Regency romance dreams is what propelled me and other ladies to attend the Jane Austen weekend at the governor's house. So I found the governor's house because essentially I was like, is this a thing? Are there places that do provide kind of a Jane Austen experience, a Regency era experience? And besides the one like festival in Bath, there doesn't seem to be very many. In fact, this was the only other one I found. The Jane Austen Society of North America does like a convention, but they don't actually have like a Jane Austen experience that you can go to all the time. So this was the only one I found. This is located at a bed and breakfast called the Governor's House, run by a lovely lady named Suzanne. This is the said governor's house. It is actually, the house had been abandoned for decades before Suzanne purchased it and the land, and then actually did all of the remodeling of the house herself. She is very well versed in the Regency history and wanted to make sure that the house was as historically accurate as possible. So for pricing wise, as it goes for the Jane Austen experience, pricing is broken down by type of room. So there are weekend rates are $645 for singles who are just staying by themselves in a room, $615 per person in a double, and $540 per person in a triple, which is the room that we stayed in. So the French room had a queen and then a twin bed. I don't think I have a picture of my bed, but I don't have a picture of the queen because I don't think the bed was made. So I did not take a picture of that. But this is my bed. And it was a very spacious room, really, for the three of us. Now, our room was quite cold. The French room actually sits like on the front. In the picture, it is like, if you were standing, it'd be the room on the top right at the front of the house. And so even with the heat not being on all day, it was quite chilly by the time we reached like dinner time. So just know that, you know, there are extra blankets, but you might want to bring some warm pajamas if you are going in the late fall like we did. And that pricing does include all of the meals that Suzanne provides and a majority of the activities that you do at the bed and breakfast. There are like 2 additional things that we paid extra to do there, which I will talk about in a second. For you to dress in Regency era clothing, but majority of us did. Some ladies did not dress up on Friday. We decided to dress up on Friday because we were so excited. Heather and her mom both purchased their dresses on Amazon. I think a lot of the other women who attended also grabbed their dresses, which are pretty reasonably priced. I think they're like in the 30s-ish range. To purchase a kind of Regency style dress. So that is a really affordable option. I know that Suzanne has some links to some great shops on her website, and I know they also have Etsy shops, and they, you know, hand make Regency style dresses. They're a little bit more expensive, going into like the $100 to $150 range, but definitely another option. Or you can go like me, and I went and I thrifted a couple dresses that I thought fit the vibe well enough, and when I added like little extra things, really worked out well for me. I think I definitely, the yellow dress for sure, and then we also had this purple one that I layered a white skirt underneath as like a shift, and I think it really added to it and gave it everything that I wanted from that dress. So I love them both, and I think it cost me maybe $40 for both dresses, something like that. I got them on ThredUp. I wanted to try and find them. One thing I do want to make a full statement about here before we jump into the schedule is there is a rule against bringing technology into certain areas of the house during the Jane Austen weekend. The first being the dining area. I got one shot of our dining experience, I think on Saturday morning, and was quickly told to poop it away. So Suzanne really does want to give the Regency experience as much as she can. So they're also in the library when we're having the chats and things like that. A lot of technology kind of gone, which I think in a way is nice. Was it nice for sharing the experience with you? No, it made it a little bit harder, but that is a-okay. I will also say that Suzanne is a person who is very environmentally conscious, so she will review with you quite a few things that she tries to be mindful of as a bed and breakfast host, for her guest to be as sustainable as possible while also running her business. So she will review those as well. In addition to that, I do know that she takes dietary restrictions seriously. So we had a couple people who had some dietary restrictions, and she did her best to accommodate them, because everything that she's cooking is as much as she can be Regency inspired recipes. So she does her best to make sure that she can accommodate anybody who has distinct allergies or food sensitivities that she needs to keep in mind. Leads us into the schedule of the Jane Austen experience. So we actually got to Vermont on Thursday, but the Jane Austen weekend schedule didn't start till Friday evening. So we, along with a couple other people who got there early, ended up doing like little day trips on Friday during the day. So we actually flew into Boston, and then from Boston we took a rental car and drove about three and a half, 4 hours to get to Hyde Park in Vermont. Hyde Park is a fairly small, if I say fairly, it is a small town in Vermont. Probably the largest city to, or largest town to near Hyde Park is Stowe, which we did go and hang out in Stowe. We also went to Boyden's, the Boyden Winery. We also went and checked out Smuggler's Notch, which is a famous route that in Vermont that was used by smugglers to bring in various goods. Specifically, I believe Susanna mentioned definitely during Prohibition to bring alcohol from Canada into the United States. So that was a super cool thing. A lot of people hike there. We went through there as well, but there was still a lot of fall foliage. So we went October 24th to the 27th. So there were still some leaves. I will say there were more leaves still on the trees in Boston than there were in Vermont, just to keep it in mind. But Suzanne does have these events multiple times per year, and they all have different themes. So the theme we had was focusing on the book Persuasion by Jane Austen, which was the last book that Austen published before she passed away. So Suzanne structures each schedule based off of themes from each book that she chooses. The schedule from what we had on the Jane Austen weekend started with our tea and cookies and chat in the library at 8 p.m. on Friday night. About maritime practices during the Regency era, which was very relevant to the book Persuasion, since our main love interest for Anne, Captain Wentworth, is a captain, and a captain out of like some abnormal, he became a captain kind of abnormally. So we learned a lot about that time period. It was quite interesting, and I was thoroughly impressed with how many of the women that we had in our group who were so well versed in the history of the time period. I will say I am personally not, but I did learn quite a bit about the practices of the British Royal Navy in that chat. Outside of that chat, we really were given a kind of overview of what the weekend would look like, and just some quick questions and kind of overview of anybody who was doing any additional activities for that weekend. So once we kind of went over the schedule, we were dismissed. We could do what we wanted to do, and most people headed to bed and kind of got ready because breakfast was at 9? 8? I believe breakfast was at 8, if I remember correctly, because yes, breakfast was at 8 because quite a few of us had signed up for the carriage rides that took place near the Trapp Family Lodge. So it was about a 30-minute drive to get there. You have to leave the governor's house to go there. I take that back. Up to 6 people could fit in the carriages, and then we had slots for 3 groups. So our time was at 10:30. So breakfast was promptly at 8. And as I mentioned, Suzanne made sure that the food was similar to what would have been served in that time period. And we really got to know a lot of the ladies during mealtime. There was a beautiful bay window in the breakfast room where we really like to sit. It was quite delightful. So she had tables set up. Apparently our group was the biggest she ever had, so we had 17 people there, and it was we were quite full in the dining space. After breakfast, we had a mini educational seminar where we talked about the art of writing with quill and ink, and also talked about typical Regency games, which you can see in the vlog that Heather and I took full advantage of in the lovely backyard behind the governor's house later. The carriage ride was extra. I believe it was $40 a person, and it was, okay, I will be honest about this. The carriage ride was not my favorite aspect. I think the carriage ride would be lovely if the leaves were still like fully in autumn glory, or if there was snow. But I didn't really feel like we went in that kind of deep of a route where the road wasn't like super prominent and things like that. So it kind of took away from it, but it was really fun to be in a covered carriage with horses in our outfits. That was quite fun. I did enjoy that. I think if I were to do it again, I probably wouldn't do the carriage ride again. I probably would stay at the house. I know a lot of the ladies just like kind of hung out, had some tea, you know, read some books, really just had like a leisurely time. So I probably would have just hung out and not done the carriage ride had I known, but it was still a lot of fun. It also gave us the opportunity to go visit the Trapp Family Lodge, which was definitely worth the visit. The views were immaculate. The food was pretty good. Kept it light because we were going to have low tea. Notice I say low tea, and then this is because as we were having tea, Suzanne was explaining to us the history of how afternoon tea came to be in the Regency era. Also learned that high tea was not the fanciest of the afternoon teas. In fact, low tea was, because it would be served on low tables and you would actually be sitting. So we had low tea and everything was delectable. I will say Suzanne cooks lovely meals and really enjoyed that whole aspect of nibbling and enjoying tea. We also learned the proper way of being served tea at an afternoon tea. So it was a very interesting experience. And then we had a lovely surprise of a pianist who came and performed a whole assortment of lovely songs for us. Her name is Donna Chaff. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. C-H-A-F-F, aka Lady Maria Chaffington. And she is a retired piano teacher and has started doing this. I will make sure to put her link down below if you want to check her out. She was delightful and played so many fun songs. So actually informed us that the Austen Family Music Collection was put up for the use of the public. And I will also link that. I will also link that information down below. But Jane Austen was a huge fan of music and actually copied a lot of music for her to play for her family. And so a lot of that collection is now available for use for the public. So Donna comes and goes to different events and plays some of those songs. So for the intro, she did quite a few songs from the family book. And then because we were focused on Persuasion, she did some of the songs from Persuasion in film. And she also did some that she felt would go with the story. It was an absolute treat. Loved it so much. So much. She actually, and Donna actually attended multiple Jane Austen weekends from what she told us. And she was so funny because she did try to give us some hints because there is a big quiz for the Sunday brunch. And she was trying to give us some hints of things to remember for the quiz because there are prizes included in that. Once we had finished our lovely little concert, it was about time for dinner, and we ended up going upstairs and changing for the evening, especially because Heather and I had been traipsing around in the backyard and my dress was dirty. I pulled a little bit of Elizabeth Bennet moment. I don't know if I got a picture of it, but I did. I had mud on my dress. Scandalous. So pulled a little bit of an Elizabeth Bennet moment, and we went upstairs and changed into our evening wear and went down for dinner. What was really fun was we actually had napkin rings that Suzanne used to place us in different places for dinner, and we had a multiple course dinner that kind of got passed around all the tables, which was quite an interesting experience with as many women as we had. But the dinner was delightful. She made this excellent Guinness stew that really put me in the mood for beef stew, and it took us a little while because we had so many people there. But the activity that was coming after dinner was probably my favorite activity. We had so much fun, and I'm really glad we had such a big group because I felt it made it really engaging to participate in this. But that was the English country dancing, and I do have the name of the lovely couple who taught us. So the instructor of the English country dancing's name is Val Mead. She's from Essex, Vermont, and she came with her husband, and they taught us multiple dances. I think we were dancing for at least 2.5 hours. I know we took like a slight I think we took like a 15-minute break or so, but my goodness, what a absolutely delightful experience. We went through so many different dances. I will say all of us got very attached to staying with our dance partners who we kind of built a little bit of trust and rapport with before as we learned to dance. But it was so much fun. I haven't laughed so hard in a very long time. We all felt very silly, and it was just I think it was what everybody really wanted from the experience. Like, it was such a silly group, and we all had so much fun laughing, and it really let us kind of go loose. It also made us all realize that very important to have your dresses tailored. Fortunately, my dress, because it was a skirt and a dress, wasn't as long as some of the other ladies. So if you are going to do English country dancing, make sure that your hem is not able to get under your boot. Just make sure to do that. Just take it from me. I did not fall. That's all I will say. I didn't, personally. But we did that again for like 2.5 hours, I think. Had an absolute blast. And then Heather and I decided to stay up and do a puzzle. I think I talked about this on the vlog, but it was here. This was the kind of leisure room where people would like go and sit and wait and read. And I just needed kind of a, come down, because there was no way I was going to do all that dancing and then be able to go straight to sleep. So Heather and I ended up completing that 500-piece puzzle, and it was very vindicating. Okay. So our final day is another kind of half day. So it is a brunch at 10. Yeah, I think it's like brunch at 10. And as I mentioned, there is a quiz at brunch. And this is, I will not give away the answers. I do have my sheet. As I mentioned, there is a quiz with prizes. And this one is the persuasion quiz. So there are, I'm looking at it right now, there are 50 questions and then 3 bonus questions. And we collectively as a group knew a lot of the answers. Like, collectively as a group, we would have aced this test. Individually, girl, I ended up with a 27. I've read Persuasion once, and that was in February. So there was a lot of history. There were some things that we learned there on the spot. There were some things that we learned that would have just been from knowing the book Persuasion. Probably would have done better if I had reread it before, but I did not win anything. But we did all get these lovely little bookmarks. Everybody got a different one. I felt great that I got a Mr. Darcy. And then the final activity was an additional cost as well. So we had a tatting class, which kind of look like these. It is quite difficult. Beautiful, but quite difficult. And apparently my fingers are inept because I was doing everything right and could not seem to get it to work. I intend on trying to do tatting again because the instructor, who I think her name, the instructor, Veronica. Veronica had some lovely pieces that she made and was displaying of her tatting, and especially her earrings. And I thought I would love to make some tatting earrings. I think they would be so pretty to make and put on my shop. So I definitely want to revisit this. It is in some ways like crocheting, but not in other ways. I'm sure that's very helpful. Very delicate, very cute, very pretty. Apparently a dying art. So let's bring tatting back. Let's try to make this a little bit more popular again because it was still fun. And I think once you get the hang of it, you could really get it going. Quite a short weekend when you think about everything that you kind of fit into there. Not as much leisure time as I thought there would be because the schedule wasn't really laid out for us before we went. Everybody that I spoke to, including Heather and her mom, we all had a fantastic time. For my final thoughts, I would like to say that this whole experience was made even more fun by the fact that it was a gaggle of women. There, again, 17 of us, and then Suzanne had some help, but typically she runs the show all on her own. And I felt, in the best way possible, that I was at a Regency boarding school, is the best way I can describe this. That we were all girls at a Regency boarding school, and Suzanne was just trying to keep track of us all, and we were giggling all the time and just having some good fun. Like, I had my own little tiny boarding school experience at 33, and it made it all the more fun. Like, you know, we were kind of sneaking around, trying to not get caught with like our tech, or just like being kind of silly and trying not to laugh when we were having conversations. Like, it had all of those elements and it was all in good fun. Suzanne was a really good sport about it. She is a lovely woman who has a breadth of knowledge about the time period, and as I said, I learned a lot. And she also has just some great stories. Like, she told us so many great stories, and just what a life. What a life to live. Oh, Pumpkin's coming to say hi. I will say, I know that Suzanne has sent out messages. She sent them out last year, which is why we pulled the plug and decided to do the Jane Austen experience this year. So Heather and I actually booked probably as soon as the email came out about the schedule. So you can sign up for emails from Suzanne for the Jane Austen experience. If you go to her website, you can sign up for that email list. And I signed up for that email list and saw that she is considering retiring, and so they may end at some point in time. But it does seem, according to her website, that she will be posting the schedule for 2025 in April. So if this seems like something that you and some of your friends want to do, I encourage you to go ahead and check out the website. Feel free to sign up. You can also just check the website around April. She does have them published there. You just reach out, give her a call, send her an email, let her know which weekend you want to attend and what kind of room you need for your guest. And then she'll reach out to you later in the year to confirm your reservation and get a deposit and all that good stuff. So definitely check it out. I encourage you to check out the Governor's House, check out the Jane Austen experience. And again, if you want to see this experience that I described, but just a bunch of silliness and a lot of English country dancing, feel free to check out my vlog. I had so much fun editing this. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up, and if you want to stick around for more bookish and nerdish content, I upload every Wednesdays and most Sundays. And until next time, I hope you read a good book, I hope you find some joy, and most importantly, I hope that you do something to make the world a better place, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!